Hello everybody, this is Monty with Flowers by the Bunch. Today we're going to make an arrangement that is from our website. It's called A Bowl of Beauty. It is including really lots of, I would almost say, citrus colors. It has yellows and oranges, some hot pink. It's just a really pretty arrangement. We use this glass cube that makes a low compact arrangement, and you'll see this is about a 5-inch cube. It's pretty big. It's almost the size of my hand, and I'm going to take and tape a grid to the top of this this container. Now the reason I'm taping a grid is because often if you cut those flowers really short and tuck them in, during delivery you will have issues with the flowers falling out of the container. And so we will take this waterproof tape and we will place a grid right on top of this vase. Now let me tell you a trick that if you are at home and you do not have waterproof tape, you can always take clear tape, like tape that you would wrap a gift with, and you can tape a grid onto the top of your vase. Now always make sure that vase is really dry, because that tape won't stick to the edge. Now what I'm doing here is I'm going all the way around this lip with this tape, and I'm taping all of my little tabs down, and that will help keep that grid in place. And you can do the same thing with your tape at home, your clear tape. That will help keep it in place. And now my flowers have enough of a grid that they're not going to topple out of the vase during delivery. Next, what we're going to do is take a hydrangea. This is a white hydrangea. I'm going to take and remove the leaves. I'm going to cut the stem at an angle, and I am going to dip it in some quick dip. But I'm going to actually cut a pretty good cut down that stem. It gives it more surface space to drink the water. I'm going to dip that stem right down in this quick dip, and I'm going to tuck that hydrangea right down into the grid on that vase. I'm going to take my second stem and do exactly the same thing. I'm going to cut that stem at an angle, and I'm going to give it just a little bit longer of a cut. I'm going to dip it in some quick dip, and I'm counting to 7. And I am going to drop that hydrangea right down into that grid. Now I like to always just kind of fluff up my hydrangeas just a little bit. We leave our hydrangeas in the little plastic sleeves in the cooler, just so that plastic sleeve is a barrier against the cold walls. It just helps the hydrangeas not get damaged in the cooler. So when they're in that sleeve, they get a little tight, so I like to just kind of fluff them up just a little bit. Next, I'm going to come in with some solidago. Solidago is a type of aster, and aster is just a filler flower. I'm going to take it and break it into 2 separate pieces, and then I'm just going to insert that solidago right down in to those hydrangeas. And I'm just stripping off any of that foliage that's on the bottom. Cut that stem at an angle with my floral knife, and just tuck that filler flower right down into that vase. All right, so there is my solidago, or solidago aster, all the way around. Next, I'm going to come in with some stock. So I have 2 stems of fuchsia colored stock. Stock is some of my favorite line flower. I love the fragrance of stock. So I'm going to take and remove a little bit of the foliage. Remove any foliage that's going to fall below that water line. Take your floral knife, cut that stem at an angle, and just nestle those stems of stock right down into that hydrangea. Now I have a lot of people fuss and say you covered up your hydrangea, but really the whole reason I've used hydrangea in this arrangement is to help me with the grid. It just kind of holds all of those flowers into place to keep them from shaking loose. So we like to use hydrangea more as part of our grid system or as an armature versus using it as a focal flower. It's really just a deep armature. Next, we're going to come in with some orange spray roses. So these are called Orange Babe, and we get them in pretty often. We keep them in our cooler. I love the orange color because it's just such a happy color, and it's a perfect addition to any flower arrangement, in my opinion. And we get these year round. So we get this orange in the spring and we get it in the fall. We probably don't use it, and I will say we really do, but we don't use the orange quite as much in the winter time as we do all of the other seasons. Okay, there's our little orange spray roses. Next, we're going to come in with our orange Gerbera daisies. So our Gerberas come with this lime green colored straw on the stem, and I like to remove that because this is so chartreuse. It's so bright, and I don't want the stem to draw your eye down to the water. I want you to look at the flower arrangement and not so much at the stems. So I always remove that straw from the flowers. But they are placed on these flowers to help keep that little head standing up. They do also come with little nettings on their little blooms to help keep them all in one piece. So I'm just taking my floral knife and I'm cutting that stem at an angle. And I nestled those right down into that arrangement. So this is an arrangement that's going to be pretty on all sides. Next, I'm going to take my one lily, and I'm going to remove the anthers from this lily. Now the anthers, they will open up. This is where the pollen is stored. They will open up and pollen will get on your lily. So anytime that lily starts to open and you see the anthers, please remove them so that they do not stain your lily. Took that stem, cut it at an angle, and I am tucking him right down in to this pretty arrangement. Look how happy that yellow lily is. He's so pretty. Next, we're going to come in with these beautiful hot pink, and these are called Pink Floyd is the variety of this rose. It's one of the prettiest hot pinks, I think. I just think it's such a pretty color. I'm going to take and remove any of the petals that don't look pretty. Now I am not going to worry about wiring these roses because they're going to be short and down in this arrangement, so I'm not worried about their heads dipping. So I'm just going to nestle these roses right into this arrangement here and there. Anytime you have a rose petal that doesn't look pretty, just pull that right off. It's not hurting that rose at all. And just nestle that rose right down in to that hydrangea. All right, so there are our pretty pink roses. Next, we're going to come in with some peachy colored hypericum berries. Now I'm going to take the foliage and I'm going to strip it off the bottom of that stem. I'm going to cut that stem at an angle. I love hypericum berries and I love them year round. I just think they are a great texture to add to any arrangement, and we can get them year round, which is really fun. Now they come in tons of colors and they spray paint beautifully. So if you ever need them to be another color besides the color that they come, pop them with a little bit of spray paint and it works out really nice. I am going to take this one Gerbera. He's kind of leaning out a little too far. So I'm going to pull him out and I'm going to trim his stem just a smidge. And I'm going to tuck him back in. There we go. So he's not leaning out so far. The last flower that I'm going to use today are called Pin Cushion Protea. These are really tight. They actually just came in. They're really tight and compact, but once they open up, all these little pins will kind of stick out. It's really a fun flower. Now all of these flowers came from a company called Budsy. Budsy is my go-to for, I would say, 95 to 98% of the flowers that we use. They come from a farm direct company, and I think that it's a wonderful company. We have never had any issues whatsoever, but every flower you see in this arrangement came directly from them. The last thing we're going to do is add some pretty mixed foliage. Now the foliages we have today include a seeded eucalyptus, a spiral eucalyptus, and then an Israeli ruscus. And so I'm going to take that Israeli ruscus and I'm going to strip off the bottom leaves, cut that stem at an angle, and I'm just going to nestle that right down into that arrangement. Israeli ruscus is a fairly inexpensive foliage, and so we really like to use it. It's just an added different texture, which is so nice. So I'm just taking those stems, stripping off that bottom foliage. Now, if I needed to make something that was a little more compact, I could cut this in half and tuck it in 2 separate pieces, but I need a little bit more length on those stems, so that's the reason I'm stripping. But if you've watched, you can watch some of my videos where we're doing like shorter, more compact centerpieces, and I will just take and cut those pieces in half. And so it's always nice when you can use one piece as 2 insertions. Next, I'm going to come in with a little bit of seeded eucalyptus, and I just popped it in half. I'm going to lift up my flowers on the side, and I am just going to press that stem right into that grid. Now look at how pretty the movement is on that eucalyptus. So I'm just lifting those flowers and tucking that right down into that arrangement. And I'm going all the way around in this base and adding that little bit of eucalyptus right in. All right, so there's my seeded eucalyptus added in all the way around. And then the last eucalyptus that I'm going to use is this spiral euc or baby blue euc. I'm going to take my floral knife and I'm going to cut one of those laterals off. I'm going to strip that, and I'm just going to tuck it in. Now I'm using it as kind of a line. It gives us a little bit of whimsy, and it smells wonderful. Now anytime you receive an arrangement and it has spiral eucalyptus in it, don't throw away the spiral euc. Save that because it dries beautifully, and you can kind of tuck it into a little vase. You could add it in the bathroom if you'd like, and it still has that pretty fragrance. But be sure when you're using it to go ahead and strip off the bottom leaves to add them in. I think I got a little carried away over here. I'm going to break this in half. It's a little big to me, so I'm going to break it in half and add. There we go. That looks better. Anytime a flower is sticking out or foliage is sticking out funny, pull that out and just give it a good trim. It's not going to hurt the flower at all, and it's very likely it's going to look better. I'm going to move my lily a little bit. He's sticking out a little bit, and I'm afraid he's going to get bumped, so I'm actually going to turn him around and tuck him in. There we go. So he got a little tighter into that arrangement. Sometimes your flowers will lean out too far, and I'm afraid they might get bumped, especially a lily, because he is pretty fragile. So there is our Bowl of Beauty flower arrangement. This one is on our website, and let me just say that sometimes we have to variate from our flowers that go in our arrangements. Sometimes we don't have every single bloom that's in the arrangements pictured online. Often, if it's too far off, we will call the customer and explain that. But if we can make it look as similar as possible, usually we will go with that. Today, the flowers that we added in include white hydrangeas as my base, orange Gerbera daisies, which are so fun and so happy. We used orange Babe spray roses, yellow Solidago as our filler, pink Floyd standard roses. We used a fuchsia colored stock, which smells so lovely, some peachy colored hypericum berries, the yellow Asiatic lily. Now there's a difference in lilies. Often you will see us use Oriental lilies, but they don't come in bold colors like the Asiatic. An Oriental is a larger bloom, really large and showy, and the Asiatic is smaller and usually brighter colors, and they don't have a fragrance. And then we used a lot of different mixed greens. Guys, thank you so much for being here with me today. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up. Let us know that you enjoyed it, and if you have not subscribed to our channel, please hit that little subscribe button down below, and if you'll hit that bell, you'll get notifications for when we have a new video. Guys, have a great day. We'll see you soon.